So today we will take this hymn of Yama by Vasvata. Yama himself is a rishi, as you see, Rishi Yama by Vasvata and Devata Yama. So he is kind of rishi and the Devata of the hymn. Also different devatas here. Then Gokta Devata means actually the Ishta Devatas, yes. Angirasas, Angirah, Pitarah, Pitris, Atharvan, Bhrigu, and Soma. Also we have Devata Pitrigana, Pitru, it's written because Maharashtrian most probably people writing. And Svanadvayam. Svanadvayam is the two dogs of Sarameya dogs of Yama, as you know. So there is mainly Trishtup, Anushtup, and Brihati, these meters. Okay, I will start. We'll start with mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi pratishthitam Aviravirma edi vedasyama anistha shrutam me ma prahasi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right. Pareivansam pravato mahir anu bahubhyah pantham anupaspashanam vaivasvatam samgamanam jananam yamam rajam havisha duvasya. Energize him with your offering, duvasya. I will come to this Vedic root later. Or honor, truly speaking, give him energy, give him yourself as a gift, or share with him part of yourself. Who is the traveler into the great worlds beyond? Pareivansam pravato mahiranu, who showed the path to many and has gathered them there. Bahubhyam pantham anupaspashanam, who are born here. To those, yes, who are born here, he showed the path. Together, Jananam, who are born here, to the son of Vaivasvatam, the king, Yama, Rajanam. Havishaduvasya, this is the verb at the end of the sentence, by oblation or by offering, by calling, honor him or energize him, or make him more effective in your life. Yeah? Interestingly, we meet for our Sanskrit students, para ivansam. This is once exactly that what we studied the last day, yes. It is the one from root E who has gone beyond. Para, beyond, ivansa, accusative case, that means him who has gone beyond, following the great path or the great heaven, so to say. into the great worlds beyond following. Anu, interesting. Who anupaspashanam, who saw and revealed the path to many. Him, the son of Vaivasvatam, Samgamanam Jananam, who is the gathering of all those who are born in the body, of the souls, people. Him, Yama, him, the king, Avishad was, offer or honor with your offering. It's a command. Interestingly, immediately we have all the major characteristics of Yama. First of all, he traveled. He went to the beyond worlds. He discovered the higher worlds, where the people are gathered, their souls are gathered, Samgamanam Jananam. And he showed the path to many, Bahubhyah, Pantham Anupaspashanam. It's interesting root, spash, actually, from which we have pashyati without s. Spash, we have this in Hindi, I think, spasht he. Spasht he, it is a Vedic root. You will not find it in Sanskrit, classical Sanskrit, or you will find it spashti karoti, yes, in this form, spashtam, clear. So it's kind of seeing, but seeing rather clarifying, clarifying in the sense that seeing and showing together, or perceiving in such a way that others can also understand. So he saw and revealed the path, Pantham, to many. The son of Vivasvat, of the Lord of the Sun, the gatherer of all the people, Samgamanam Jananam. He is the king. Him you should honor with offering. Yamo nagatum prathamo viveda naisha gavyutich apabhartavau. This is Vedic infinitive. Yatranach purve pitarach pareyuch ena jajnanach patya anusvach. Yama first discovered our path. Nach gatum. Gatum is the path. We're going, literally. Our going, Yama Prathamach first Viveda discovered, came to know, perfect. Naisha Gavi interesting word, Gaviutich, is actually where the cows, Gava, go, dwell, where the light dwells, literally. So you see in the dictionary Gavyuti here, pasture, piece of pasture land, district, place of residence, and so on. But truly speaking, it's the place of where the light is expanding, uti, interesting, where the light is supportive or pervasive of our being. Naisha apabhartavau, that cannot be taken away, cannot be diminished. The place of light where it cannot be diminished, he first discovered the path. Yatranach purve pitarach pareyuch, where our first forefathers went, yes, where our ancient fathers has gone beyond. Those who are born here follow up their own path. Ena jajnanach patya anusvach. it tells us something interesting about Yama, because he is the he is the son of the Lord of the Sun, Vivasvat, the supramental sun involved in the darkness of our inconscient and kind of rising from within, manifesting all the layers of consciousness in evolutionary, to say, journey. And he is his son, who, being born here, because he was coming from Vivasvat, so to say, found first where first to die and found the way back to the original Gavyuti, where the light is pervasive and cannot be diminished. So he left this world and went to heaven, where our first forefathers, and ancient fathers, Purve Pitarach, Pareyuch, has gone beyond, Para Eyuch, has gone beyond, crossed to the highest heaven. And all the beings following their own path, who are Jajñanach, who are born here in the body. So this embodiment, there's a new thought coming to the mind, this embodiment which Vivasvat called, how to say, caused by being involved in the inconscient. We are the sparks of this flame, which is rising from Vivasvat, from the involved sun. And Yama is our representative of our group soul, who found the way to the beyond world, not to the below, not to the Vivasvat, back to Vivasvat, but to the other shore, from where the Vivasvat came into the inconscient. So he crossed the region which we have to cross in our evolutionary journey, so to say, all those levels from the vital, mental, and to the beyond. And in the beyond, there is a place for our souls to rest before we embody. It is samgamanam jananam. It is the gathering of all those who are born in the body. We are all born in the body because we are rising from Vivasvat. Agni is our father, and we are the sparks of this flame. And so we took onto ourselves the bodies, jananam. We are janaha, yes? We are those who are born in the physical. We took the physicality onto ourselves. But our soul has a journey to make beyond, to that other shore, not from below, but from above, and there to rest and come back to the body. Though we came from within, we are going to the beyond with our souls and coming back to this embodied state. This is the travel we make, and by this travel, back and forth, we effectuate the evolution of the body. We slowly and gradually change the very substance of inconscient into more conscious substance, kind of redeeming it, bringing it back to its own self-awareness. And by that also we grow in the self-awareness. So our souls become more and more efficient and more powerful, and finally formed into the beings, into the psychic beings, individualized supremes. Interestingly, that they use pathiya svach, their own paths they follow. Those who are born in the body, they follow their own paths, as Yama followed, but their own. They have their own kind of laws of existence. They follow the law of their own selves, souls. Soul here represents the supreme and follows its own law, its own svadharmas, as it were, its own path. Matali kaviyaich, Yamo angirobhich, Brahaspatir rekvabhich vavridhanach, Yanscha deva vavridhuch yecha devan, Svaha anye, Svadhayan ye madanti. Matali, it's a name here. You can see Sayana comments on it as a divine being associated with Yama and Pitris. We do not know who is Matali. So Matali kaviyaich, by kavyas. Kavyas is the type of the divine beings. Most probably has something to do with, of course, poetry and expression of the consciousness. Also mysterious being. Kavya, he is given as sacrifice, a sacrificial priest. Matali kavyaich, Yamo angiro bihich, and Yama with Angiras, Brihaspati Rikwabhich, and Brihaspati with those who pronounce Rigveda, Vavridhana, was strengthened. So Matali, Yama, and Brihaspati are strengthened by the sacrificial priests, by Angiras, rishis, and by Rikwabhich, by those who speak the Rigveda, the Rigs. Yanshadeva Vavridhuch, and whom the gods strengthen, Yecha Devan, and who strengthen the gods. Whom the gods strengthen, and who strengthen the gods. Svaha anye. Some are saying Svaha, Svadhayan ye madanti. Others are rejoicing with Svadha. Now, Svaha and Svadha are two major exclamations, in the sacrificial rituals. Svaha is usually pronounced when the gods are invoked, and Svadha when the Pitris are invoked. Here we again have this division on Devayana and Pitriyana by Svaha and Svadha. And they can be, we can try to translate them, but Svadha has some meaning. Svadha is like establishing one's own. And Svaha doesn't have any meaning. Or we can say so Svaha is like leaving or giving away one's own, whereas Svadha establishing one's own, if you will. Ha is to, from here, Hani, you have it in Hindi most probably, yes? To leave, to abandon, and but aha, possible. So we do not know the translation. I'm just kind of trying to make sense with Svadha in opposition to Svadha. Svadha has a meaning. Svadha means actually, though it is exclamation mark, it has this meaning of Svadha. Dha root is to establish. Sva, oneself, yeah, one's own. I'm looking into the dictionary. Svadha, self-possession, self-power, inherent power, yeah? Own state or condition or nature, habitual state, custom, rule, law, ease, comfort, pleasure, and so on, own place, home. So Svadha has is exclaimed for Pitris. That means Pitris are actually building up the body, yeah? The consciousness which is involved in building up the bodies. that is Pitriyana. We are always concerned about building up the instruments of knowledge, embodiment of consciousness. Whereas Svaha, for the gods, should have some other meaning. Probably, in the dictionary, probably Su'aha, hail, may a blessing rest on. Well, they do not know. An oblation, no suggestion. There is, of course, Duraha. Duraha is bad aha, yeah? And if you look at the aha, so, but we have ha to leave. So aha is to leave or to impose upon, to leave onto the spiritual part. Yeah. So to say to do it for the sake of growth of our innermost being, Devayana, of our soul. Svadha to deal with our body and the establishment. I'm just speculating here for the sake of nobody does it, what I do with Swaha and Svadha, because that is so fixed already in the kind of ritualistic sense that nobody cares about the meaning. But linguistically, it's quite interesting to think of it. If we have Duraha, yeah, and we have Swaha, Suaha, most probably it is related.
Vladimir Griffith's translation says praise and oblation.
Oh yeah, of course. What else he should say? This very general, making oblations to the gods, pronounce the exclamation Swaha. We have this everywhere, Swaha. Yes, Amayanto Brahmacharina Swaha. Pramayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. This Swaha is always at the end. Let me check with Dura and then I will stop here with this. Because Dura would be ill luck, misfortune. So Swaha is good luck. That's what we can. Duraha is bad luck. So leaving on to bad thing, leaving on to good thing. Something which is consequential, most probably, which creates a leftover or which creates the consequence to move forward, yeah? Or makes an intention to move forward. I'm coming closer. If Svadha is an establishment, a home, then Swaha is the intention or projection of intention forward, which generates the possibilities of new development. And that relates to the gods and our soul and what we want to be, what we want to become in the future, how we want to grow, all that.
Can it be aspiration?
Something like that, yes. Perfect self projection or aspiration, yes. Well, meaning well intention, yes. Made perfect aspiration is good. Aspiration is unfortunately totally taken in the integral yoga. That has other flavors in it, but yes, in the meaning, in the linguistic meaning, could be. So here it's also yeah,
Vladimir,
yeah.
in the Gita, Shri Krishna talks about consecration beyond aspiration when sacrifice turns into consecration.
And yeah, continue. What do you want to say? You want
So
to say.
that's what I'm saying, that this swaha is consecrating the offering of self and everything. Consecration being higher than aspiration or surrender. Surrender leads to consecration. That's how Krishna talks about it in the Gita.
And
The,
what word he uses for consecration in Sanskrit?
in Sanskrit.
Yeah, because this is the whole thing.
Can I look it up and send it later, because I'll have to look it up in the shlokas. I'm not very strong with Sanskrit.
And where did you take this shloka from? I can check
I-
immediately. What do you translate as consecration in the Gita? Because Sanskrit has very direct, meaning. You
Yeah,
can't. It could be interpreted in the shloka as consecration, or Sri Aurobindo speaks about it. If you know where it belongs, I will immediately check.
in the works and sacrifice, significance of sacrifice,
Mhm.
it should be there, verses 10 to 16, chapter 3. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this
Is there
green
a
book.
reference to the Gita?
This green book, the yoga, the Gita is explained by Sri Aurobindo in the vision. In the vision and the words of Sri Aurobindo. We have all the shlokas there.
Mhm.
So in the shlokas,
What shloka number?
page 49,
If you can give me chapter.
works and sacrifice, 1 to 9, actually up to 16, the shlokas from 10 to 16.
Which chapter?
10 to 16 is chapter 3,
Okay.
page 53.
Page I cannot use. I can use only Gita's text. I'm using Gita's text.
Oh, okay. So
This, you mean this Sahayajnih Prajah Srishtva, yes?
yeah,
Purovacha Prajapati Hanena Prasavishyadvam, yes? Well, I don't. And so, what does he call consecration here?
consecration.
Can you repeat your thesis again? Because I just don't understand.
Okay, just a sec. Page. I'm now looking at synthesis, self-consecration, and he says here that I'm trying to look for the Sanskrit word in this chapter. Entire self-giving.
What is the page in the synthesis?
I have the old copy, so it is, the old copy is
Can you
page
give me just a
78.
phrase, one phrase?
Page 78 in this one. And here,
Just a phrase of what Sri Aurobindo says. I will find it by phrase.
you're asking me to give you a Sanskrit
Synthesis, yeah.
phrase?
Yeah, well, if you moved to synthesis now.
Yeah, not,
Any phrase, beginning of the paragraph.
yeah. All yoga, beginning of the chapter is all yoga is in its nature a new birth. It is the birth out of the ordinary into the divine being.
All
And
yoga
that
is
is in its nature a new birth. That is the start of the chapter.
all yoga is in its nature. Doesn't find it.
I will find the exact thing and send it to you,
Oh,
but
thank you.
it needs some. I don't want to hold up the class.
Oh, I see. It found it. Hatha yoga. All yoga in its nature an attempt and arriving at unity with the Supreme, yes? And here he deals with Salokya, Samipya, yes?
Yeah.
So what is your point? Can you tell it again?
My
Because
point is that what Kinshuk was talking about aspiration and self-giving. The higher form of self-giving is a complete consecration. That is what Sri Krishna teaches in this particular
so
chapter.
you were comparing consecration with surrender and with self-giving.
Self-giving, yeah. The swaha. The
Consecration is
swaha is consecration. In short, just a different word. I think these are all words with a little difference in meaning, but more or less the idea is the same, where you offer yourself entirely to consecrate yourself to the divine. In a sublimated, you're sublimated. You're not offering the ordinary entity that we are as we are. We have sublimated our lower nature to the higher nature through continual sacrifice. And this sublimated self is offered to the divine. That is consecration. We don't offer our impure selves, we offer the purified part, purified self.
Yeah.
That is one with the soul. That is the oneness with the soul, the realization of the soul. And that is consecrated because the soul is always in consecration to the divine. So that identity, oneness, self and spirit. He talks about and explains it in great detail in that chapter.
Right, I will have to look into it. I'm very, very interested to know the difference between consecration and sacrifice. Because consecrate, actually, also interesting that it's like making it complete the sacrifice, yes?
Yeah.
Concentration and consecration, we discussed this in our other interesting meeting with our retreat. And concentration is when you concentrate yourself onto it, but when you consecrate, there is something else that additionally happening.
Yeah.
Anyhow, possible, very much possible. Swaha is consecration, like total reiteration of your own, self-giving, constant kind of remember and offer, so to say, yes,
Yeah.
in full intensity, and that is consecration. So you always reiterate that you belong to the divine, that you remember that you are the divine, and you are here to do the divine work, and that is consecration. And it could be swaha.
Because the meaning of self-consecration is a solemn dedication to a cherished ideal, sanctification of one's thoughts and actions and emotions. Sanctification. That's why I said purified mind, life, and body.
Yes. It's like a
The
complete
highest.
sacrifice of all the
Yeah.
parts for one particular reason and gathering them all together for that purpose. Yes, consecrate, intense sacrifice, absolute, kon, sam. Yeah, sam and kon are the same prefixes. Great, thank you.
He says actually there must be a decision. In that same chapter, second paragraph, he says there must be a decision of the mind and the will, that is knowledge and force, as its result, a complete and effective self-consecration.
Yeah.
Upward orientation in the being and illumination. It contains in a seed all the results that yoga has to give. He explains it beautifully. I don't want to take up time, but it's a chapter worth reading, I think, maybe.
Oh yeah,
Just
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, all those chapters are very,
yes,
very important to read, and
yeah.
not only to read, but to really try to understand what it implies, how to do it, yeah, how to practically make it work. Not only to understand that it works, but also to try to do it, to work it out. So here we have interesting also that the mentioning whom the gods may grow, yes, or whom the gods strengthen, Vavriduh, and who they strengthen the gods, and then suddenly some of them say Swaha and others by Svadha are rejoicing. And it's a kind of, most probably, both ways which I mentioned before is for Swaha and Svadha, yes? Whom the gods strengthen, that is Svadha. They are rejoicing by Svadha, because when the gods strengthen you, as in the Gita, here in this very chapter on sacrifice number 3, it is said that together with Prajah, the Sahayajna Prajah Srishtva, together with Yajna, the god supreme Prajapati, created the beings, yeah, Prajas, creatures. Anena prasavishyadvam eshavo astu ishtakamadhuk. By this you support each other. Yeah? This will be your desired cow of desires, or favorite cow of desires. Devan bhavayata, support the gods. Anena te deva bhavayanto, and by that the gods will support you. So here we can see the same story. That is how sacrifice is made. Whom the gods, Vavridhuh, and Yecha Devan, who support the gods and whom the gods support. And this is kind of two-way ticket, yeah? We support the divine elements in us totally, that is Svaha, yeah? Consecration of all our being to them, and they support us. What does it mean? It means that they bring the consciousness into this body, and that is Svadhyama Danti. Yeah? By the self-establishment they are rejoicing, because that response from the spiritual side will actually change our material formation and makes it more subtle and more receptive of the spirit. So we need to work on both. Yeah? We need to give everything to the gods, and they will give everything to us. And that is the way, as Krishna says, param param bhavayantah, supporting each other, shreyach param avapsyatha. You will achieve or come to the highest good. What that highest good is about, yeah, is totally new body and totally new spirit. Double process of evolution, as Sri Aurobindo says, of our souls evolving and our bodies becoming more and more capable.
And the work also therefore changes. The work is no longer guna-ridden or driven by Prakriti, but it is driven by the swabhava, the nature of the soul. So the work changes to divine work.
Right. Well, the gunas will be doing their work anyhow. They will not go anywhere. But yes, the
They are
whole.
transformed to their higher self.
Yeah, well, they do not. We are not mechanically doing it anymore. Yes.
No, not mechanically.
Yes, but consciously they will do the work what the spirit demands. We are aware of what spirit is doing, and nature with her gunas will be fulfilling everything what spirit commands. But nature anyhow does this, but we are not aware of it. That's why we are, I have to say, under the spell of nature. Yes, we are not free. But the moment we become aware how it works and see that the Anumanta in us awakened, the Purusha in us commands the Prakriti, and we see the results, we can direct our evolution our own way, as here it says, yes, they are following their own paths, those who are born in the body. This is something interesting. Why their own paths? Not one path which was given to them, yeah? But everyone has his unique form of development. Actually, it's kind of amazing. So here I mentioned several things which Matali, we do not know who it is. I cannot comment on it. Yama with Angirasa Rishis is quite interesting because Yama should not be supported by Angirasas. He should be supported by Pitris. But in this case, most probably, Angiras Rishis are Pitris. They are, though these are two different categories, Angiras Rishis and Pitris, yes? But Yama supported by Angiras and Brihaspati by Rikvans is something. Most probably these are the two paths. Yama, Pitris are supported by the Angirasa Rishis and Brihaspati by the Rikvans. These are the two paths always mentioned together. Yeah?
I just looked up who is Matali.
Yeah, she's the charity of Indra.
Yeah.
Right?
Here, I took it from here, you see, from the dictionary. A divine being associated with Yama and Pitris.
Charity of Indra, the king of the Devas.
Anyhow, this duality of Swaha and Svadha, those who support the gods and whom the gods support, is actually the foundation of the sacrifice. Yes, it's the double path of evolution of our soul, Devayana, and our bodies, Pitriyana. And Yama here, being the soul entity, interestingly, yeah, that's why he is supported by Angiras. Though he is here for us being in the body, but he takes care of the soul's journey. It's important for us to understand, though he is coming from Vivasvat, who is involved sun, involved in material manifestation, still he represents the soul entity, the growth of the soul, yeah? And stirring by the soul journey from heaven to earth and from earth to heaven, constant movement, reincarnation, as it were, he helps the growth of the consciousness in the body. He helps the Pitris. Most probably that is the path. No, he represents the soul, definitely, not the body, 100%. And that's the biggest misunderstanding. We spoke about this, why Yama was associated with the Lord of Death, because of this path. The soul has to depart from the body and go into the realm, that gavyuti, yeah, into the realm of the light, pervading light which is never diminished, where we rest as the souls and come back. And because he always sends his own helpers, Sarameya dogs, or himself sometimes comes to fetch the soul and to lead it on the way to the rest place, he, because of that role, he was associated with the Lord of Death. And he is Dharmaraja also. It's interesting. Somehow doesn't fit everything into one. Lord of Death, Dharmaraja. You know, there's a contradiction somewhere which was never resolved. We discussed this in Savitri also studies, yes, or in our place, that Sri Aurobindo never calls the Lord of Death Yama in Savitri. He uses all the names, yeah, Savitri, Satyavan, everyone. Ashvapati, Dyumatsena, but he never mentions the Lord of Death as Yama, because it is not. That's what I want to say. It is the savior of the soul rather than the killer of the body. Yeah? He is coming to help the soul to travel and not to destroy the body. When the soul decides, and this is interesting, when the soul decides to leave, and only soul can decide to leave, otherwise it will stay in the very difficult situation in a very destroyed, half-destroyed body and a very sick body. It will still stay and live there if it wants to stay. But the moment it decides to leave, it can leave even a healthy body which can function. But the soul decided to go. And this is something about this, their own paths, their own decisions. Soul has its own decision, can follow its own right. I decide to go or I decide to stay. This is something interesting. That's why they say patya svaha anusvaha. Jajnanach. Those who are born in the body follow their own paths. They make their own decisions. And when the soul makes this decision, then Yama, related to all the souls, because he is a representative of the group soul, sends his help to fetch the soul, and then the body falls apart. But that was misunderstood, and Yama was associated with the destroyer of the body. No, it was the soul who decided to leave the body and to go. This is something I think is very valid to think of. So we should not be afraid of Yama. Yama has to be invoked, and we will see here that they invoke Yama. We will see in the next verses how Yama is invoked and why, and how you have to give your offering to him and strengthen his path, because this is the path of all our souls, yes, in this evolutionary journey. This is important for us for the also Yama and Yami hymn later. Okay, I will stop here, and if you have something to say, please go ahead.
Vladimir, I had a question. You said that aspiration in the literary sense is different to how Sri Aurobindo used it. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Well, it is loaded with integral yoga aspiration, yes, like a soul aspires. We created the whole film on aspiration and selected all what Mother said on aspiration and so on, sincere aspiration. And most probably it is connected with Swaha, consecration and aspiration, yes. Actually, it is the same thing, only it is more consciously done already with, it's not just the aspiration of the soul, but it is already participation of the will and the mental will. You gather all the parts around that aspiration and make it very concrete, consecrated, yeah. and make it totally, how to say, firm and tangible and indestructible and unchangeable. Unchanging will, that is consecration, yes? Jayashri brought this topic. Unchanging will of Savitri is a consecration. You cannot change it. It's consecrated. But of course, these are words. Aspiration in my mind, in my feeling, is this more related to the mother in Sri Aurobindo, to the mother's power in the psychic being, flame. Yeah? And in that sense, I would not want to deviate from it but it is in the meaning. Yeah, I agree. Swaha. Swaha is to consecrate onto in the best way, to make this will power or aspiration. Willpower and aspiration, they're a bit different, yeah? Will can be mental will, vital will, yeah? Also Purusha's will. And psychic aspiration is a bit different. It's like longing for the beloved. It's like a flame in itself, in its own substance. And it does not do things. It does not aspire. It does not make aspiration. Yeah? It is an aspiration. The soul is an aspiration in a way.
Vladimir, am I right in saying that in the integral yoga, going to the psychic is bypassing the gods, so to speak?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Gods are not part of the aspiration, no. Gods are here to help, to build the bridge between the innermost, the aspiration, to the divine, to the supreme, with the outer being. They are these intermediaries who actually expand our space, inner space, and bring it, the inner being, bring closer to the surface. That's what they do. That's their business, actually. That's why they are invoked. They are invoked to allow us to come to the front more efficiently and with a spiritual being and start. Sri Aurobindo in many places speaks about this, yes? Oh, Varuna, oh Mitra, give me this, Indra, give me that, and you, Kali, destroyed my dependence on these forces, yes? Make me free. Because it is our own path, it is our own decision, but we need helpers of universal powers. Universal powers are gods, who are the part of our universal consciousness. They belong to our consciousness on a universal scale. Yeah? And we invoke them and involve them in our own self journey development.
I'm trying to understand the two paths in terms of Angiras rishis and the Rig Veda speakers. So are the rishis, are we talking about the seers of the Rig Veda and then versus the speakers of the Rig Veda? Is that part of the two paths?
Well, it's a difficult question. I would not be able, most probably, to crack that puzzle. Why it is said in that way, truly speaking, very unusual in a way. Because Brihaspati is considered to be the Angiras, yes? And Angiras Rishis are his 7 tongues, 7 flames, and so on. So by Angirasas, they strengthen Yama. By the flames of Brihaspati, but the Rik ones, by the speakers of Rig Veda, they strengthen Brihaspati. There's something there which I cannot see yet. But there must be some potential discovery there. Yeah. I will leave it open because better not to answer something clumsy, but to keep the question rather.
Is it because all of them have a connection to Agni?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All of them have connection with Agni. Without Agni, there is no development, no sacrifice, nothing. Angiras is the major flame is Angiras. Yeah.
And there is the third entity of the Kavis, right?
Yes. I do
Kavya.
not know who are these Kavyas. It's I have no idea.
Actually, if we look at this Mitali as a charioteer of Indra, Indra being the god of the divine mind, then the Kavyas, he says here, Matali prospers there with the Kavyas. Kavyas are the poets,
Hmm.
ancient poets. And these Kavyas, Yama with Angirasa's sons, Brihaspati with the Rikwans. Rikwans are the eternal voice of the poets. Then they are exalters of the gods, poets. They are the exalters of the gods, some in praise and some in oblation. Those are the different kinds of hymns. Some of these poets offer the hymns as praise, and some offer the hymns as an oblation. Therefore, we say Swaha or we say Swadha. That's how I understood this verse, that it's talking about the importance of poetry, of these seer poets. You know, the rishis are seer poets, and Sri Aurobindo considered himself to be a poet first, and it kind of falls into line when he says Matali is the charioteer of the Indra, which is the divine mind. So the poet of the divine mind comes up with the kavyas, which are exalters of gods or oblations to the gods. Two kinds of hymns, either their praise, which is swaha, or you know, uh, oblation, joy in praise, and some in oblation, which is swadha, which is pitris. So I think Sri Aurobindo is pointing a finger. I may be totally wrong. It's just intuitively I'm guessing, since he's giving so this him is giving so much importance to the voice of poetry and poets, divine poetry, and a hymn is a divine poem in that sense, written by these seer poets, rishis. So in that sense, I'm just thinking aloud. Uh, it's open to uh, discussion, maybe. I don't know, but that's the little I understood. I tried and connected Matali with the kavyas and with the rikwans and the hymns of exaltation
Well,
and oblation.
yes, right. Every possible move is okay to try to understand things. Um, I'm loaded with understanding already with of all kind of relations of different devatas and different formations and this and that and different texts. I do not see yet that connection, but most probably one has to. First of all, these are very cryptic words like Matali and Rikwans. Yes, the rest is okay for me. Yama, Angirasas, Brihaspati, that I can understand. Kavya. Kavya is an absolutely Vedic word of Shota, not Kavya as a poem, not Kavi as a poet, but Kavya, something with someone who relates to the poets, or the power of the poets, or something. The power of the poets makes stronger Matali. The power of the Angiras, of the flames, or expressions of Brihaspati make a strong Yama. and the power of the Rikwans, whom I do not know who they are really, those who have riks, praising or something. Praising is just a word from the dictionary which has nothing to do with Rikwan. And the one who speaks the Rigvedic hymn supports the Brihaspati. There must be something here.
Isn't that us?
Rikwans? Maybe. So Angiras rishis are the powers of Brihaspati supporting Yama, and we support Brihaspati, and the poetic power of the Kavi, of the poet, support Matali, support the movement of Indra, suppose. Though I don't see Indra in the dictionary here. I see only Yama and Pitris. But if it is the movement of Indra, of the Lord of the Divine Mind, then the power of the poem, of the word, supports the movement of the mind. Poetic power supports the movement of the mind. The expressions of the inner divine in the Angiras form support the movement of Yama. Let us keep the movement idea. And the Brihaspati is totally fashioned and invoked, let us say, made strong by us who read the Rig Veda. So if it is so, then we support Brihaspati and his flames, Angiras, support Yama, and Yama in his movement, yes, has something connected with Matali, and they are connected with Pitris.
I'm just trying to think if this has any relation with the triune of consciousness, existence, and bliss. Existence being life, which Yama continues, and consciousness being what the Kavis bring awareness about, and bliss being the Rikwans who rejoice in the Riks.
Hmm. Hmm.
Vladimir,
Hmm.
one last thought.
Okay.
I was just looking at the three verses again. All three talk about travel. All three are talking about traveling. The first one is Yama, who's traveling. In the second one, men who are born on earth, they travel in their own paths.
Yeah.
And in the third one, we have Matali as the chariot driver. Again, chariot signifies traveling. And poets are chariot makers. Sri Aurobindo has said poets are chariot makers. They make the instrument of travel, create the instrument of travel. Poetry makes us travel into the inner realms. If you read Future Poetry, that book, in that book, Sri Aurobindo describes in detail. But anyway, I'm not going there. But all these three verses talk about travel. Isn't that common to all the three? It just came to me. That's why I thought I'd share it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Kinshuk didn't want to take.
Sure.
No, that's perfectly fine. I was good.
Yama is about this shift, yeah, with travel of the soul. Soul is traveling and reincarnating. It's a constant movement, yeah, of the soul up and down and forward constantly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we have to still dwell on this hymn, on this verse. If something comes to you, we just over this time when we meet next time, we can start with this again. Maybe we will revisit it and see something. I don't see it yet, because these kavya and the Rikwan are not very popular words in the Rig Veda. It's not that like priests. If it would be Ritvij or whoever, Hota or Purohita, it would be immediately clear what it is. But these are hardly used. They are used more like adjectives of some kind. Yeah? And something I don't know yet.
Vladimir, I wanted to just clarify something I'm a little bit confused about. I thought in the agenda, there's a point, right, where Mother comes to Sri Aurobindo, and then she talks about Krishna being there, and then he takes it all away, right? And he says that this is not our yoga, right? And then from then there's the whole depression that settles into the ashram. There's no more cooperation with the gods. So am I not right in saying that in the integral yoga, it's not about collaborating with the gods? Or am I mistaken in misinterpreting something?
No, that was a place at the time when actually there was a very powerful period in the ashram when the gods were everywhere. They started to have contacts with sadhaks. Mother describes how they were sitting in the meditation one by one, Ganesha, and everyone was there. The whole row of all the gods were coming to the meditation with the mother and sadhaks. And they started to have relations with sadhaks. And it was such a marvelous period because everybody started to, grow and believe. There's a miraculous period. And when she came to Sri Aurobindo and said that, look what we created such a marvelous thing, because it is marvelous. It's a very rare thing on earth, that the gods have direct contact with people. And Sri Aurobindo says our purpose is different, we are not here to create a new religion. Maybe the greatest of them all we could have created with this, the greatest of religions. Our purpose is transformation of the material being with supramental. That means we have to go beyond the gods. Gods are from the overmental realm. They are needed to help the soul to come to the surface. But once it is done, and the soul is growing through to embrace the whole world, and there they are important. The gods will be important in that, what do you call it, spiritual transformation phase. Phase 2. First is psychic and then spiritual, to make soul more universal in its appeal, in its power. There they will play their role. But that is it. Then their role stops. Then we have to reach to the top, to the supermind, and from there has to be a new power coming down, yes, which is not concerned about this universal appeal anymore. So in that sense, not to fix sadhaks and the whole ashram on the form of the gods and the miracles which are taking place every day, and to deviate from the aim which was meant to be for Sri Aurobindo. He, as supramental avatar, came to do this, to bring supramental down. That's what he said. And that's why Mother understood everything and broke all the relations with the gods, because it was creating this kind of an illusion of development, deviating from the aim of the supramentalization. In itself, it's a very powerful device, too powerful for people to refuse it. Gods are very persuasive. They are very, how to say, for our human consciousness, they are very great achievement, and we cannot actually refuse their presence and their power in our life. And in that sense, they did what they did. One should not misunderstand or belittle the gods in that way. One should see the aim of Sri Aurobindo's yoga. And from that time on, when she did this, Sri Aurobindo and his integral yoga can never be a religion. That was also something very decisively made, which kind of destroyed the very possibility of making out of it a religion. And most probably that's why Sri Aurobindo is not popular, neither in India nor in the world. But his power is the most present and the most effective. There are many thoughts coming from this. We are thinking about that event all the time, in Auroville especially. Yes, what is the difference between religion and spirituality? Should we start building ashrams, or should we do this, or worship, or pujas, or what? What should we do? What pujas? What ashrams? No ashrams. All life is yoga. Every day, every moment, you invoke the spiritual power and start, consecrating your life to it. That's what integral yoga is about. Great, we can stop here for today. And let's close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.